think you know cats. Those fluffy little creatures curling up on your couch, purring while you scroll through your phone. But what if I told you that behind those adorable eyes lies one of nature's most fascinating and complex biological systems? A system so bizarre, so perfectly engineered, and so misunderstood that scientists are still uncovering secrets about these animals in 2025. This isn't just about cute cat videos. This is about the real science behind one of humanity's oldest companions, and trust me, the truth is way more interesting than you ever imagined. Let's start with something that might make you uncomfortable, but it's crucial to understanding feline biology. The reproductive anatomy of male cats features something called penile spines, small backward-facing structures made of keratin, the same protein found in human fingernails and hair. Now, before you click away, this isn't just shock value. This is actually a masterclass in evolutionary biology, and understanding it helps us protect cat welfare today. These spines, which number between 120 to 150 on average, serve a very specific biological purpose that researchers at the University of California Davis Veterinary School have been studying extensively through 2024 and into 2021. Here's where it gets scientifically fascinating. Female cats are what biologists call induced ovulators. Unlike humans who ovulate on a monthly cycle, a female cat's body only releases eggs in response to the physical stimulation during mating. According to research published in the Journal of Feline Medicine and Surgery, the penile spines trigger a neuroendocrine response that causes a surge of luteinizing hormone from the pituitary gland, which then triggers ovulation within 20 to 50 hours after mating. It's not about pain for pain's sake. It's an evolutionary adaptation that dramatically increases the chances of successful reproduction. In the wild, this system ensures that cats don't waste energy producing eggs unless there's a high probability of fertilization. But here's what most people get wrong. Modern veterinary science has shown us that this process, while effective for reproduction, isn't exactly comfortable for female cats. Studies from the American Association of Feline Practitioners indicate that females often display aggressive behavior toward males immediately after mating, including hissing, swatting, and sometimes violent rejection. This isn't cruelty, it's biology. And this is exactly why spaying and neutering programs are so important for domestic and feral cat populations. When we remove cats from the cycle of reproduction, we're not just preventing unwanted litters. We're actually improving their quality of life by eliminating these stressful biological imperatives. Now, speaking of feral cats, let's talk about something that might surprise you. During a female's heat cycle, which can last anywhere from 4 to 10 days, she may mate with multiple males. This phenomenon, called polyandry, means that a single litter of kittens can actually have multiple fathers. Research from the UC Davis Veterinary Genetics Laboratory has confirmed through DNA analysis that up to 60% of multi-kitten litters have more than one sire. This genetic diversity is actually an evolutionary advantage, increasing the chances that at least some offspring will survive to adulthood with varied genetic traits. Nature is wild, right? Scientists didn't expect what they found next when they started studying the long-term health effects of repeated mating cycles in feral cat populations. A 2023 study that continued through 2025 from the Feral Cat Coalition discovered that unspayed female cats in colonies experience significantly higher rates of reproductive tract infections, with some populations showing infection rates as high as 35%. The repeated physical trauma combined with exposure to multiple partners creates an environment where bacterial infections can flourish. This data has revolutionized how animal welfare organizations approach trap-neuter return programs, emphasizing the urgent medical necessity of spaying in addition to population control benefits. But here's where the story gets even stranger. When male cats are neutered, those penile spines actually disappear within approximately 6 weeks. This happens because the spines are testosterone-dependent structures. A landmark study from Cornell University's College of Veterinary Medicine, published in early 2025, used advanced imaging techniques to document this regression process in real time. The keratin structures essentially dissolve and are reabsorbed by the body once testosterone levels drop after neutering. This finding has important implications for understanding how hormones influence physical structures throughout the animal kingdom, not just in cats. Now let's switch gears to something you've definitely seen if you've ever owned a cat, the dreaded hairball. But most people have this completely wrong. Hairballs aren't just a gross inconvenience. They're actually a window into feline digestive health and grooming behavior that scientists are studying more seriously than ever before. Here's the deal. Cats spend between 30 and 50% of their waking hours grooming themselves, according to behavioral studies from the Animal Behavior Society. Their tongues are covered in tiny backward-facing structures called papillae, which are made of keratin and function like a biological hairbrush. These papillae are hollow at the tip, which helps them wick saliva deep into the fur for cleaning and temperature regulation. But there's a catch. Those same papillae are so effective at grabbing loose fur that cats inevitably swallow significant amounts of hair during grooming sessions. In a healthy cat, most of this hair passes through the digestive system and is eliminated in feces without issue. But when hair accumulates in the stomach, it combines with mucus, digestive enzymes, and partially digested food to form what veterinarians call a trichobozoar, the technical term for a hairball. Research from the American Veterinary Medical Association indicates that most cats produce a hairball somewhere between once a month to once every few months. However, if your cat is producing hairballs more frequently than that, it could actually signal an underlying health issue like inflammatory bowel disease, dietary deficiencies, or excessive grooming due to stress or skin conditions. Here's something that'll blow your mind. A study published in the Journal of Veterinary Internal Medicine in late 2024 found that the composition of hairballs can actually provide diagnostic information about a cat's overall health. Researchers analyzed over 200 hairball samples and discovered that the presence of certain bacteria, the pH level of the surrounding mucus, and even the color and texture of the material could indicate everything from dietary imbalances to early-stage gastrointestinal disorders. Veterinarians are now developing non-invasive diagnostic protocols that could use hairball analysis as an early warning system for cat health issues. Who knew that gross clump on your floor could be so scientifically valuable? But let's address something the original video mentioned that needs serious correction. The idea that hairballs contain fecal matter is largely a myth. While cats do groom their anal area, and trace amounts of bacteria from that region could theoretically transfer to their fur and tongue, the digestive system doesn't work backwards. Hairballs form in the stomach and are expelled through the mouth, not the intestines. According to Dr. Jennifer Coates, a veterinary advisor and contributor to multiple peer-reviewed journals, the bacteria found in a cat's mouth and on their fur is generally not harmful to humans with normal immune systems. The risk of zoonotic disease transmission from casual contact with cats is extremely low, though basic hygiene like washing hands after handling pets is always recommended. Now, if you're learning something new today, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps more people discover these fascinating animal facts, and it tells YouTube that science content matters. And hey, drop a comment telling me what animal you want me to cover next. I read every single one. Let's talk about what might be the most controversial aspect of cat biology and behavior: their impact on wildlife ecosystems. This is where science, conservation, and pet ownership collide in really complex ways. The numbers are staggering. According to a comprehensive study published by the Smithsonian Conservation Biology Institute and updated with 2025 data, free-ranging domestic cats in the United States alone are responsible for the deaths of approximately 1.3 to 4 billion birds and 6.3 to 22.3 billion mammals annually. These aren't just random estimates. They're based on extensive field studies, camera trap data, GPS tracking of outdoor cats, and prey remains analysis. But here's what makes this issue so nuanced. Not all cats contribute equally to wildlife mortality. Research distinguishes between owned cats that are allowed outdoors, unowned cats that are fed by humans, and truly feral cats that have no human contact. A 2024 study from North Carolina State University that continued into 2025 found that well-fed pet cats that are allowed to roam actually kill more prey per capita than feral cats. And here's the kicker: they eat less than 5% of what they kill. This confirms what wildlife biologists have long suspected. Cats don't hunt primarily for food. They hunt because of deeply ingrained predatory instincts that domestication hasn't eliminated even after thousands of years of living with humans. The evolutionary reason is fascinating. Cats were domesticated approximately 9,000 to 10,000 years ago in the Near East, likely because they were attracted to rodent populations around early agricultural settlements. Unlike dogs, which were selectively bred for specific tasks and underwent significant genetic changes, cats essentially domesticated themselves and retained most of their wild behavioral traits. A groundbreaking genetic study published in Nature, Ecology and Evolution in 2023 and expanded in 2025 showed that domestic cats differ from their wild ancestors, the African wildcat, in only 13 genes. For comparison, domestic dogs differ from wolves in hundreds of genes. This means that your house cat is, genetically and behaviorally, still very much a wild predator. Now here's where the conservation crisis becomes real. On islands and in isolated ecosystems, cats have been directly linked to the extinction of at least 63 species worldwide, according to the International Union for Conservation of Nature. Island species evolved without mammalian predators, so they lack defensive behaviors against cats. Birds that nest on the ground, small marsupials, reptiles, and endemic rodents are particularly vulnerable. In Australia alone, feral cats are implicated in the decline or extinction of over 20 mammal species since European colonization. The Australian government has implemented controversial but scientifically supported feral cat management programs, including culling in sensitive areas and the establishment of cat-free zones to protect endangered species. But here's what gives me hope. And this is where recent science offers solutions. A comprehensive study from the University of Georgia, published in early 2025, tested various interventions to reduce cat predation. They found that cats wearing brightly colored collar covers called Birds Be Safe collars reduced bird catches by 87%. Cats with bells reduced catches by about 40%, though only for birds, not mammals. But the most effective intervention was simply keeping cats indoors or in outdoor enclosures called catios. Indoor cats live significantly longer lives, averaging 15 to 20 years compared to 2 to 5 years for outdoor cats, according to data from the American Veterinary Medical Association. They're protected from cars, predators, diseases, and human cruelty, while wildlife is protected from them. It's genuinely a win-win situation. Several cities and regions are now implementing progressive policies based on this science. The Australian Capital Territory introduced mandatory cat containment laws in 2025, requiring all new cat owners to keep their pets on their property at all times. Early data suggests this is already reducing wildlife mortality without negatively impacting cat welfare. Similar initiatives are being considered in New Zealand, parts of Canada, and even some counties in the United States. Most people have this completely wrong when it comes to cat intelligence and trainability. There's this persistent myth that cats are aloof, untrainable, and don't form strong bonds with humans the way dogs do. Recent research is completely overturning this stereotype. A landmark study from Oregon State University published in 2024 and replicated in 2025 demonstrated that cats are just as bonded to their owners as dogs are. Using the same secure base test developed for measuring infant-parent attachment in humans, about 65% of cats showed secure attachment to their owners, meaning they use their human as a source of comfort and security in stressful situations. Even more fascinating, research from the University of Tokyo published in 2025 proved that cats understand their own names and can distinguish them from other words even when spoken by strangers. Brain imaging studies using fMRI technology showed that cats process human speech in specialized regions of their brain, and they can learn to associate specific words with actions or objects. The reason cats seem less responsive than dogs isn't lack of intelligence, it's motivation. Dogs were bred for thousands of years to be eager to please humans and respond to commands. Cats were bred primarily for pest control and companionship, not obedience. They're perfectly capable of learning. They just need the right motivation, usually food rewards or play. This understanding has revolutionized cat training and enrichment. Modern animal behaviorists now successfully train cats to walk on leashes, use toilets instead of litter boxes, perform tricks, and even serve as emotional support animals. A 2025 study from the American Association of Feline Practitioners found that cats who receive regular training and mental enrichment show significantly lower rates of behavioral problems like inappropriate elimination, aggression, and destructive scratching. The key is understanding that cats are motivated by different rewards than dogs and require patience and consistency. Let's talk about something absolutely mind-blowing that researchers discovered about cat communication. You know that purring sound that everyone associates with happy, content cats? It's way more complex than anyone realized. A study from the University of Sussex that gained new attention in 2025 revealed that cats have developed a specialized purr that contains a high-frequency component similar to a human baby's cry. This solicitation purr activates the same neural pathways in human brains that respond to infant distress, making it nearly impossible for humans to ignore. Cats have literally evolved a communication method that hacks into our parental instincts. They're not just cute, they're strategic. But purring serves other functions too. Research published in the Journal of the Acoustical Society of America confirmed that the frequency of cat purring, which ranges from 25 to 150 hertz, falls within a range that promotes healing in bones and tissues. Some scientists hypothesize that cats purr not just to communicate, but also as a self-healing mechanism, stimulating bone density and tissue repair. This might explain why cats purr when they're injured or sick, not just when they're content. Veterinarians are now exploring whether exposure to purring frequencies could have therapeutic benefits for humans, particularly for bone density issues and wound healing. Here's something else that'll surprise you about cat senses. Cats can see in light levels 6 times lower than what humans need, thanks to a reflective layer behind their retinas called the tapetum lucidum. This is what causes their eyes to glow in photographs and at night. But they're not great at seeing in complete darkness, contrary to popular belief. They also have a relatively limited color vision compared to humans, seeing the world primarily in shades of blue and green. What they lack in color vision, they make up for in motion detection. Cats can detect the tiniest movements, which is why a toy that sits still is boring. But the same toy on a string becomes irresistible. Their whiskers, called vibrissae, are another sensory marvel. These aren't just hairs. They're deeply embedded in the cat's body and connected to the muscular and nervous systems. Each whisker is packed with nerve endings and blood vessels, functioning as highly sensitive proprioceptors that provide spatial information about the cat's environment. Cats use their whiskers to measure openings, detect air currents, sense nearby objects in the dark, and even gauge the mood of other animals through vibration detection. Research from the National Institutes of Health published in 2025 used high-speed cameras to document how cats use their whiskers during hunting, revealing that whiskers move forward to form a basket shape around prey, allowing cats to track movement even when the prey is too close to see clearly. Now, let's address the health implications of cat ownership for humans, because this is where science meets everyday life. The internet is full of conflicting information about whether cats are good or bad for human health. So let's look at what the most recent research actually says. A comprehensive meta-analysis published in the journal Frontiers in Veterinary Science in early 2025 reviewed over 100 studies on pet ownership and human health outcomes. The findings were surprisingly positive. Cat ownership was associated with reduced stress levels, lower blood pressure, decreased risk of cardiovascular disease, and improved mental health outcomes, particularly for people living alone or dealing with anxiety and depression. The mechanism seems to be multifaceted. The act of petting a cat releases oxytocin in humans, the same hormone involved in bonding and stress reduction. The responsibility of caring for another living being provides structure and purpose, and the companionship reduces feelings of loneliness and social isolation. However, the study also noted that these benefits are most pronounced when cats are kept as indoor pets with regular veterinary care, proper nutrition, and environmental enrichment. On the flip side, cat ownership does come with some health considerations. Toxoplasmosis, a parasitic infection carried by cats, is the most commonly cited concern. However, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's updated 2025 guidelines, the actual risk of contracting toxoplasmosis from pet cats is quite low if basic hygiene practices are followed. The parasite is only shed in cat feces for a brief period after initial infection, and it requires 24 to 48 hours to become infectious. Daily litter box cleaning, hand washing after handling litter, and keeping cats indoors to prevent them from hunting infected prey essentially eliminates the risk for most people. Pregnant women and immunocompromised individuals should take extra precautions. But the idea that pregnant women need to rehome their cats is outdated and not supported by current medical evidence. Cat allergies are another consideration. Approximately 10 to 20% of the global population is allergic to cats, according to the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology. The allergen isn't actually cat hair. It's a protein called FeLD1 that's found in cat saliva, skin, and urine. When cats groom themselves, they spread this protein onto their fur, which then becomes airborne as dander. Here's something exciting, though. Scientists at the biotechnology company InBio published results in 2025 from their research into a cat food that neutralizes FeLD1 using a chicken egg antibody. Early trials showed a reduction of allergen levels by up to 47% in cats eating the specialized diet. This could be a game changer for people who love cats but struggle with allergies. Before we wrap up, I want to talk about conservation efforts and how our understanding of cat biology is informing better animal welfare practices worldwide. The trap-neuter-return movement, often abbreviated as TNR, has gained significant scientific support as the most humane and effective method for managing feral cat populations. Unlike catch-and-kill programs, which create a vacuum effect where new cats move into the territory, TNR stabilizes populations and gradually reduces them over time as cats age and are no longer reproducing. A long-term study from the University of Florida that concluded in 2025 tracked TNR programs across 11 cities over a 10-year period. The results were impressive. Colonies managed with TNR showed population decreases of 32% on average, with some colonies declining by over 50%. Nuisance complaints decreased by over 60%, and participating cats showed improved body condition and lower disease rates compared to unmanaged colonies. Importantly, these programs also included public education about keeping pet cats indoors, which addressed the root cause of feral cat populations: abandonment and uncontrolled breeding of owned cats. Several countries are now implementing nationwide cat management strategies based on this science. New Zealand's Cats to Go initiative, while controversial, combines mandatory desexing, microchipping, and registration with habitat restoration and predator control to protect native bird species. Belgium introduced mandatory sterilization for all domestic cats in 2024, with enforcement and monitoring continuing into 2025. These policies are based on the scientific consensus that managing cat populations at the source through sterilization and responsible ownership is more effective and humane than reactive measures. Here's my final thought, and this is important. Cats are extraordinary animals. They're complex, intelligent, and beautifully adapted predators. The science we've covered today isn't about demonizing cats or making cat owners feel guilty. It's about understanding these animals so we can make informed decisions that benefit both cats and the ecosystems they inhabit. The best outcome is one where cats live long, healthy, enriched lives as beloved companions, and wildlife populations thrive in their natural habitats. These goals aren't mutually exclusive. They require education, responsible pet ownership, and science-based policy. If you made it this far, you're clearly someone who cares about animals and wants to learn the real science behind them. So here's what I want you to do. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because because we're covering a different fascinating animal every single week. And trust me, the next one is going to blow your mind. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. And share this video with someone who loves cats or who's interested in wildlife conservation. The more people who understand this science, the better decisions we can all make for animals and our planet. Cats have been humanity's companions for 10,000 years. With the scientific knowledge we have today, we can make sure that partnership continues for thousands more, in a way that respects both the incredible nature of these animals and the wildlife they share our world with. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.